Hello and welcome to the Shawl Studio Buzz podcast. My name is Doug and I'm coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico. This is a podcast about yarn and about, well, today I would say it's all about knitting. So let's get started. First thing I want to show you is my shawl that I had finished, and it was already done when I recorded the last podcast. Hang on one second. My cat may want to go out. Do you or do you not, baby? No? No? You're fine here? Okay, be fine here. Come here. Come on. Up. Everybody wants to see you. Almost. Come on. Up. I don't know why he doesn't jump. Oh, you see him. Here's his little black and white nose. Well, I showed you the birds of a feather last time. It's knitted out of Shawl's yarns. The velvet is the fuzzy one, and that is Surrey alpaca and silk in a lace weight. And the other one, there he is. And the other yarn is my honeysuckle, a merino cashmere and silk blend. And I have made this with 3.5 millimeter needles, which is a smaller needle than the designer specifies. And now I'm really glad, because if you have never watched Marina, I say hi, Marina. She's in New Zealand, and she has the Strawberry Patches podcast. And Marina just knitted this, and hers was very loose and giant and just not she was just not too happy with how it turned out. So I'm actually now really glad that I went down a needle size, and I'm just really happy with his shawl. Ike, this cat. No, he wants to drink from the inky water. All right, let's carry on. So I showed you the birds of a feather, 3.5 millimeter needles. Very happy with it, and it is done and it is blocked. And of course, as all the knitted pieces do, they're even nicer when they're blocked. So now I will take this to my yarn store, and if you're local, go to the yarn store at Nob Hill. It will go on display there if you really want to touch and pet it. What next? Of course, the other thing I made some progress on is my Alpaca cardigan. Man, this is a mess in my basket here. Oops. Did I say I may be able to wear this to Taos? Yes, I did, but I don't know what I was thinking. Taos is coming up this next weekend, and of course I'm not gonna be able to finish it by then. Would have been nice, but not gonna happen. Yeah, Alpaca cardigan in fingering weight yarn by Nice and Knit, purchased in Frederick, 3 years ago when I went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And this yarn that I'm using for the collar is, and for this front edge area, which will also be used on the very bottom. That is one of my yarns, and it's the Beekeeper's Daughter. And I had to overdye it because it was, I thought it was nice and related to this color, but they were too similar. So I had to throw in some dirty green and some whatever else I threw in. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, and I really think it works very well now. The edge on top is supposed to be a mohair that's held double. I did purchase a mohair, but I am using it, but I'm holding it with the velvet, the alpaca suri silk that I have used for the birds of a feather, which makes it, of course, I mean, it's a high quality, was a high quality, expensive little skein, but I'm thinking it makes it even softer now. That was probably the last time that I purchased mohair. And it's really, it complements, of course, everything here super nicely. I have knitted quite a bit on this, and it's slow growth, but yeah, I just gotta keep going. There are increases under the arms and on the back of it, and what else did I want to tell you about it? Oh, yes. Last time I complained maybe a little bit, or I criticized the way it's described how to do the cast on under the arms. And I should have reread the pattern because, of course, in the pattern it says do a provisional cast on, and it even says how. So I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's the same, essentially, it's the same way how you get to these, how you get your extra stitches in here, except for with the provisional cast on, you are going to have live stitches when you work your sleeves, when you start those sleeves, and which I'm not going to have, but whatever. Yeah, I just keep plucking away. I do not know, that's a bit of a disadvantage that the designer does not give measurements for the body beef, and tells you where you have to start the bottom edge. But I think what I'll do is I will decide and put it on and not really measure that much. I mean, what she does is she tells you how many repeats. So I may also do some math from the gauge given and the amount of repeats that she tells you to do. I may do that to figure out where I should start that last section. But then again, maybe not. Who knows what I'm going to do? I mean, not even I know what I'm going to do most of the time. So we shall see. So I brought you something else. I gotta reach down to my chaotic basket here where all the yarns are tangled. I brought you a project which lives in this bag, which was a gift from a friend who also gifted me the yarn. Super nice. And she used the same yarn to make a short sleeves shirt. And I said, well, I'm not really the shirt kind of person, so I wanted to come up with something different, because when I wear a shirt, it has to be super thin, right? Because we're in the desert. Let's be real. So when it's shirt season, it's hot here. So also I like sleeveless. So I went on Ravelry because I really wanted to start knitting with this. And I was looking at sleeveless vests because I knew the yardage would be okay for short sleeve with a normal length. And I came upon a pattern which I meant to knit many years ago. I've had this in my queue for a very long time, and I saw it, I bought the pattern, and I cast on that same night. And then once I started knitting with the yarn, and I'm not foreign, sorry, I can't pull this up more. Oh, it's not tangled after all. Once I got going, I realized whatever I thought is not gonna work for this, because this should be something more woolly and maybe warming. And this is well, I just looked it up. It's a bamboo cotton blend. So I thought then that's not right after all. So back to the drawing board, and I thought, what am I gonna do? I looked through my other stuff where I had a pattern of a sleeveless vest, yet again, with a lot of drape. But I knocked that one out pretty quickly because it was more of a decorative garment than a practical one. And I'm not so much that I didn't think I'd wear it really. Something that has only a decorative purpose. And the thing is that it was all over this top section. There was a very there's a lace pattern down here, and up here almost like a mesh. Yeah, 2 buttons. I mean, I've always loved that vest, but it's one of those garments. Have you ever had that you pick a pattern or you see something and you want to make it, but it's more because you love that person in that picture, in that situation, with what they're wearing so much? And it's not really something that would really, for real, work for you. I bet you know what I'm talking about. So I knocked out that vest also, but then I thought, why not just use this pattern and turn it into a shirt? I love everything about it. I love the neckline. I love the pattern, this stitch that gives it interest up there. I was just thinking what I would have to do is probably make it in stockinette and not in garter as the vest. And I think I'm pretty decided that that's what I'm gonna do. So, but then along came something else, but I will show you a little bit later. Let's keep that tension a little bit longer, because I started something. I found the most amazing, wonderful sweater pattern that I really had to cast on right away. But I'll tell you in a minute. I just want to tease you a little bit. Because, of course, there's also my Tamdu shawl by Melanie Burke that I have started. And it has a very fancy storage container. And what I'm using is this yarn that I've found in La Jolla. No, it's not in La Jolla. It's right by Debbie, by my Debbie of the Periscoping Sisters. It's her around the corner yarn store, but the yarn brand is La Jolla. So I purchased that there, and I was thinking green yarn that picks up this wonderful green, two-colored shawl, dyed up the green, went on Ravelry, loved the green, would have bought it there, by the way, but they had nothing that I liked. So I purchased this. I dyed up this, my Dreamcatcher base, Zia wools, and then I looked for a pattern and they all required 3 colors. No problem. I dyed up more yarn, and the one that made the cut for the shawl is this one, because this golden yellow is in some spots also in this skein. And the other skein, by the way, that I also dyed up as an option to combine in a shawl was already sent off in the giant Instagram giveaway that I just had not too long ago. I hope you entered. All the winning skeins have been mailed off, and it was so much fun. Yeah, side note, closed. Yeah. So I'm using these 3, and I'm gonna be too noisy. And this is the shawl that I'm making. Again, 3.5 millimeter needles. Is it, or is it 4 millimeter? Actually, it looks like 4 millimeter needles. I may have lied, but whatever it is, this shawl is so pretty. I love the pattern, and I really love my colors. I think that's going to be really pretty when it's done. Yeah, what I usually do is that I knit the stripy section in the evenings, and then when I get to the lace, I save it for the mornings when I'm fresh and awake, so I don't mess up. Tamdu Shawl by Melanie Burke. Oh, I forgot something else, and I have it right in front of my nose. I have some more plans to cast on something. And the yarn lives in here, which is obviously a Halloween bag, which is, I think the fabric is called Witch's Undies. Since I found this fabric, I'm so in love with it, and I'm always happy when Halloween is getting closer and I can use the bag. What's in here? Nothing to do with Halloween. In fact, I should have shown you earlier, because it's yarn for another Birds of a Feather. When I did the math with my yardage that I used for this, with my 3 millimeter needles, it turned out that I needed just a little bit over 500 yards of the honeysuckle. I really didn't need that much. So I thought maybe I will get away with just one skein of Sugarloaf. And I had one, and I grabbed it, and I dyed up some pink to go with it, and now I am ready to go. Sorry, I am not too thrilled with my ball winder, but whatever. Yeah, very excited to start this. And the reason why I picked a Halloween bag, even though it's not even in the least matching, is that I thought that maybe then I'm going to get it done before Halloween, and I'm going to get it done faster. And I won't forget about it, that I want to make it in October. That is the next Birds of a Feather. Yeah, it's funny. I talked about it and I thought, well, it's going to be too boring to make another one, and most certainly not make them in all the colors. But now I'm already thinking, oh yeah, now I'm making a pink one. Who knows what's going to happen? Did I say that just 5 minutes ago? I'm saying it again. And now we are coming to the moment we have all been waiting for, most of all me, because I really want to show you this new sweater, which lives in here. My favorite cowgirl bags. And I am talking about the Yellow Brick Rodeo by I'll put it on the screen here. I didn't bring the pattern because the picture is very too small. It's too hard to see. Oh my goodness. Ever since I've started this, nothing else gets any attention. And I am assuming that it will change as soon as I am done with that pattern section, because that's the yoke that gets this pattern, and then it's a solid color. And it was kind of cool. I'm making it with my own Zia Wool's Dreamcatcher in a new color, which is called This Gem Is My Jam. And I had set aside this color to make something for myself, to make a sweater, but I just really wasn't sure what to make, which pattern, or if I was going to use a pattern, or what I was going to do. And then when I found this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun, because what you do is you knit this with 3.75 millimeter needles in the yoke. Then you go down 0.25 millimeter in the size of the needle, just to prevent tension issues. But whatever. That's not what I wanted to tell you. The great thing really was that since I had this one, I just dug into my big box of all hand-dyed yarns and threw out whatever I thought might work to combine with this. And that was already so much fun, because I don't know how you are and how big your stash is, but my stash is quite substantial. And I just buy these individual skeins, sometimes two. And I mean, I love them all. And then it's so great when you actually come up with something that gives you a reason to dig in and throw them all out and compare colors and whatnot. And so I actually found another skein which I thought would have worked also beautifully. And that is this one. And for obvious reasons, right? It picks up this color, but then I thought it's kind of, I wanted a more solidly dyed color. And so that's why my decision fell for this storyteller yarn, which I got on a wonderful vacation where we went to Lake Tahoe, and they're in the area, but I don't even remember what town they're in. All I remember is that I think it was one of the very first times that I purchased hand-dyed yarn in a store where it was also dyed by the store owner. I hope I'm not making that up now, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember. Yeah, and this one, in case you're interested, is Three Irish Girls, and I also bought that on a vacation in Wyoming. So yeah, what I love especially is this dirty green in combination with this. I hope you see the color correctly, because what I see in the screen is a little bit more turquoise and the yarn itself is more green. I hope you see it right. Maybe like this. I don't know. Yeah. I hope I will get to the point where I split the sleeves and soon, so I actually can wear this soon enough in fall. I have made one change, maybe more. The neckline, the ribbing of this, I did not use the same needle size. I went down to 3 millimeters because that's how I do my ribbing. And the short rows, I did not do wrap and turns, but I did German short rows. I just like them better. Always have. And so I didn't even bother with it, but I just changed the count a little bit. So when it says knit 5 and wrap, knit 5 and wrap your next stitch, I knitted 6, and that was my stitch that you pull up, kind of like as for the German short rows. Yeah. And what else? My row gauge is so badly off that I am winging it a little bit from now on, and I already made a mistake. I'm gonna have to rip back because I'm funny, I know. So that last stripe of this color, I shouldn't have done in my size, but because I wanted to use more of this yarn and because I knew my row gauge was off, I thought, I'm gonna make one more stripe. And in the pattern for the sizes that you have to do one more stripe or more of, it tells you to increase your stitch count, which is a large amount of stitches. I want to say about 60, which I did not do the math for that. So how much width I'm gaining for that. So in the end, when I was there and had already done it, that's only when I did my measurements, and I kind of tried to figure out, where am I, how much further do I have to go to get to where I split the sleeves, and how am I going to do that. That's where I realized I have way too many stitches. I did want more, and I really have to say that this is the beauty of the top-down yoke or raglan. I mean, this yoke even more than a raglan, because I can have super skinny arms and have a super wide body. I mean, I don't know how that would really look like, but I could. And also, if your row gauge is off, you just knit further down until you split the sleeves. And there's so many options to adjust your pattern, and that's what I love about top down. So I will rip back. It's just 3 rows or so, I think, to here, and no, maybe it's 5, whatever. And then I'm gonna do my extra stripe without those increases, and it's gonna be fine. And then I'm gonna use the pattern for my increases, which would be just to increase about 20-ish stitches and not 60-ish. We all know what that means, right? You think before you do things. Yeah, but whatever. It didn't matter. I mean, the thought crossed my mind. I thought, is that going to work? Then I thought, I'm just going to do it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to rip back. And so that's what I'll do. No biggie. That is my yellow brick rodeo sweater. What's next? I have only one more thing that I brought to show you. I mentioned last episode the things that happen when you go to the yarn store, the damage you do. And I had purchased yarn, I showed you. But this time, what I'm talking about is that the last time I also saw a shawl pattern that I really liked. And I've been meaning to knit another one, another lace shawl, but I'm thinking it's a little bit too demanding for my mind right now in this point of my life. But this one, for some reason, gave me the impression that I will be able to make it and that it's very logical. I saw the shawl at the yarn store and I came home and I looked it up in the patterns on Ravelry, and of course it was already in my queue, so I must have seen it already before and put it in my queue because I liked it so much. And so, but now I purchased it, and it's called Alpaca Shawl. It's a Malabrigo pattern, and I dyed some pink yarn because I wanted a pink shawl, but then I came up with that pink birds of a feather plan. So you can already see it's like going all these ideas, so many, the gears are cranking, many ideas, lots of inspiration and lots of plans, and not enough hours in the day. But that was the plan. So the pink one is not going to happen because there will be a pink birds of a feather. But then I saw another color and I saw a green, and I thought, oh yes, I must have a shawl in that color. And I already have a green shawl, and you may remember this one. I can't tell you the pattern from the top of my head, but it is on Ravelry on my project page, and this is a hedgehog fibers yarn that a dear friend once gifted me because she said you have to try hedgehog yarn. Dizou, she probably doesn't watch, but if you do, I loved this yarn and I'm happy it lives in a shawl now. I've worn this a lot, and I even brought it to California on the last trip. But now you're going to say, okay, a light green, you're going to do another light green. How different can it be? Very different. Right? How crazy is this? Greens. How different can light greens be? So this is the yarn that I will use for this shawl, and I really don't know when I'm going to start this, but hopefully it won't take me too long. Ow, that was my elbow. I had another super pleasant surprise. My sweet friend gifted me this amazing yarn for my birthday. Where's the label? Woolly Lizard. I absolutely love it. Such a great color for me. I don't think I've ever made anything with a color, with yarn in this color. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm of course also looking for a good pattern for this. And maybe that's going to be the Kleine Schwester by Melanie Berg. I'm not sure. I thought about, before I decided on the pink Birds of a Feather, I thought about doing this one, but then I decided against it after all. Not sure why. Yeah, so it will have to be in its own beautiful project to shine and remind me of my friend thinking of me. That was Woolly Lizard. And then I have indeed come to the end of this podcast, and I thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting, and thank you. I know that some of you watched twice, in German and in English, and there's one friend who actually doesn't speak any German, and she still watches the German episode, which makes me laugh so much. I just love it. And I'm looking forward to seeing her in Taos at the Woolfest this upcoming weekend. And I'm looking forward to next time. I hope I'm going to have a lot to talk about then, and I hope you're all well and healthy, and until I see you again in about 2 weeks, I wish you happy knitting. Bye.